What's up? What's happening? What's popping? Right, I'm gonna concentrate today. I will not be waffling today. I don't even know what I'm talking about today. Well, that's how much I'm doing, innit? Dry sex life. I feel kind of scared. Sorry, that's the first subject that I saw when I opened the book. Dry sex life. I do feel a little bit aware of how difficult some of these things are to talk about. And actually, I've been thinking about my videos quite a lot and how like do I come across as like Miss Know-It-All? But technically, I do want to know it all. I don't know it all, and that's my frustrations. And what I do know, I'm very strongly believing in things. Like, for example, I know that kindness feels better than horribleness, and I will stick by that. So then, like, I might come across as like, oh, you think you know it all? No, I want to know it all, don't know it all, and that frustrates me, you know? Anyway, so I'm gonna talk about the mind. Yes, the mind running wild. And then how to control the mind. And actually this ties into my experience this week. I feel like in the past few weeks I've been like becoming so aware of, I'm so distracting, oh my gosh, I jump around from things to things. When I'm cleaning my house, I don't finish one room before I move on to the other. Like, I am so here and there all the time, but I get everything done and I get it done fast. So I don't really complain about my processing. But if you're watching my videos, you might be like, there you go, she's jumped again. Oh, she's jumped back. Oh no, she hasn't. I'm really sorry about that. What? Mind running wild. Yes, so I have been noticing the importance of the mind, and actually how much, by the way, I'm so sorry, I did have a nap and then I literally just woke up like probably like half an hour ago. So if I look like quite sleepy, it's because like I didn't even want to wake up, but I knew today was Saturday, it's like my day to film, and I'm like, Nayna, get up and go film. And then my brain was like, I must sleep forever. You know when your brain gets into that proper like deep place of like, I will not wake up. But then I had like this thought, this like subconscious thought, something exciting. So then my body kind of activated with excitement, and it like, maybe I will wake up. And then that then made me be able to wake up, because I'm telling you, the brain, which actually ties into this conversation, is that the brain is so bloody strong. I am suspicious, yeah, that we've not even begin to tap into the understanding of what the mind really is. I have these thoughts that are a little bit out of the ordinary. At the same time, my out of the ordinary thoughts are the ones that usually really take root into like my belief systems. Meaning, yeah, I think, yeah, there is so much that we have not even begin, oh my god. We have not even begun to understand what the mind is, how the mind works. What is it, right? And I feel like when we understand that, yeah, everything's gonna change. I really think that the mind is acting. It has to be, yeah, I swear, because I have been calling out to God, right? I swear, I've been calling out to God. I don't go around trying to hurt people. I don't go around, anyway, this is me trying to like be righteous again. I hate the fact that I'm coming across like, I am Miss Perfect. Even though I want to be perfect, I keep saying, but I'm not. I keep saying, but the point is that, what is the point? Because now I've just like lost my point. What was I talking about? Wait, I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I've been calling out to God, yeah, and I swear to you, I swear, like there's absolutely no reason, right, why God would, and I know this might make somebody angry, I'm so sorry about that, but why God would ignore me. Oh no! And I know other people are like, God was never ignoring you. It's like, oh my gosh, please stop, because in my understanding, God was ignoring me, right? So, and I was sitting there one day, yeah, and I was just like, this is becoming so much of a joke here that I have to like force myself to look at what is going on, because I swear to you, God is not ignoring me. God wouldn't ignore things, like life wouldn't ignore things. Plus, when I'm not searching for God, I can actually feel. I don't want people to justify this either. Like, oh, when you don't look for things, it comes to you. No, that's not the explanation here. There's a lack of understanding around that as well, because there's no such thing as that, like, oh, stop chasing me and then I'll come after you, even though that is like sometimes what happens here. But again, it's all just lack of education, and God doesn't have lack of education. God would understand better than that, right? So, what am I saying? I keep getting, I shouldn't have slept. The point is, yeah, is that like, the mind seems to be God in a different form. So I'm out here searching for God in the form of no process, right? Because I believe that understanding God in the no process is quite vital for the experience of understanding who you are. Because when you are living through God in a process, it's not its full self, right? It's an expression. It's partly an expression, right? So then I'm here and I'm like wanting to know God in its full self and not through an expression, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but the point is that I saw that God must be the mind, reformed as the mind, right? But not only that, right? Because then obviously then God is reformed into everything and not just the mind, but by everything. So that's quite silly to say, right? Because obviously, Nayna. But what I'm saying here is that the person who we are trying to feel authority from, to feel like something has to make sense of it, it's like the only thing that you have is the mind. Meaning that the mind is in control. And I know we've said this in many different ways, the mind's in control, the mind's in control, but like literally I feel like we're missing something major here, right? And to the point where I feel like what we call laws of science and things like that are set in stone, I feel like the mind can control those things, meaning that we give power to things, right? And we can continue to give power to things or change where we put the power. And I really feel like there is something that we're not teaching about the mind here, of how much control it has. Like, for example, it could be that somebody will argue and say, oh, sorry, no, that's not how it works, right? Because my gun has power over your thoughts, right? And that's just the law of science, right? If I pull this trigger, there's no stopping the bullet, right? And there's nothing that your mind can do about that. And I feel like people can argue in present terms of how it might be working, but there is something that we're missing here, meaning that we could get to the point, and we would get to the point of where the mind does control the weapon and it does slow down the bullet. Because I feel like we're not really, like I said, we're not even tapping into what the mind actually is responsible for within existence, and we're just giving power to like its individual powers, let's say, and really it's like this collective brain that's led by this conscious mind. Anyway, what I'm saying then is that like then you could see how this world can look completely different. Like if we can change what the weapons do, if we could change our relationship to the sun, if we can change the relationship to the space and when we leave the earth, like we can change everything based on this conscious mind. And I don't think that we teach that, because that is almost like magic, isn't it? So what do you mean, you know, if you go up to the sky you're gonna die because there's no air up there, right? And I feel like that there's an error in that. There's an error in teaching that. There's an error in saying that. There's something more that's going on apart from that. And so I believe that the mind has something to do with that, because obviously the mind is the only goddamn thing that is in control in this body. I know that there is something else that's in control, and it's not even in control. It's just here. Actually, that's a better way to put it. It's not in control, but it has an influence, right? And it has a strong influence, but it doesn't have the strongest influence, because the strongest one is the mind who decides. And I know it's a bit difficult where if somebody's listening and they don't even understand what are you talking about the mind, which then means then that if you don't understand, it means that you are fully living as your mind. Because people who understand what I'm saying, they're like, oh yeah, my mind, and then the person who's like kind of influencing my mind, like they've made a difference because they've searched for the difference, because they were tired of like not knowing why they're alive, or they've gotten to the place where they're questioning why they're alive. So then it's start questioning their own existence, and their own existence is the thinking mind. So then they had to go beyond that to be like, well, is that all that I am? And then it started to like come apart a little bit. And if you've not come apart and you're not breaking down those pieces, that means that you are still living fully as like the mind, the thinker. Sorry, I had to pause it because I'm just wondering if it's important for that break apart to happen. I don't even want to call it a break apart because that's like a separation, but like the understanding of what you are made of, like the parts that you are made of. And right now, as we become more aware of the parts, then we've become a part of a bigger being, I guess. And right now we're kind of a small being, because all we're doing is processing through the mind. We are living as the mind. And I guess like if you start opening more, unlocking more sides to yourself, then I guess you become a bigger being, right? But I don't think that this is ascension. I don't think that this is something that comes to you. I feel like this is already who you are, and you're just unlocking parts of yourself. I know somebody can call that ascension, yeah. But I don't think it's ascension. I think it's a literal like game where it's like, okay, now I'm here, and then I'm just unlocking this part, now I'm unlocking this part, now I'm unlocking this part, and by the time I've unlocked the whole thing, woo, that was a fun game. And actually I could see that could be fun if anger and pain and fear and suffering wasn't involved in that game. And right now it is involved in that game, but I think it's because the essential information of who you are outside of this game has been locked off. I don't know, I keep saying that, so I'm not even going to get upset about that anymore, but it has definitely been locked off because I am searching for myself and I can't find myself. I only have this mind and this like unlocked side to me that I've unlocked, and awareness that if I've unlocked one, that means that I can unlock more and more, right? Because life seems to be giving in that way, which means then that it doesn't stop at just one. So all of these observations has been from my head, my mind. Anyway, so let's move on to this running wild thing and then controller thing, right? Because now that I've explained all of that, you could see that if you let the mind run wild, meaning living through fear, making fear an influence, making fear reality in your internal mind anyway, right? Because fear exists outside of your control sometimes, but sometimes it is in your, a lot of the time it is in your control, and sometimes it's not, because somebody else would be bringing fear onto your space. But a lot of the time we actually live as this individual self, and actually people don't necessarily force their existence onto you, and you just accept it. So then if you allow it, then the mind can just do whatever and do whatever. Like, so if, for example, if you're scared of spiders and you don't really, you know, and you just allow that to happen, then you're going to be scared of spiders forever. Whereas if you like slow down that process of being scared of a spider, and actually then you do unlock that side to yourself where you're like questioning, who am I? Then you start to see that the brain is having a reaction, then the body's having a reaction, and actually if I implement a different thought process and then try to implement a different reaction, eventually you would start having a different reaction. And there's a lot of proof of this, even I have proof of this, right? That is absolutely possible, where you have a different reaction to something that you're very used to having a reaction to, and you have a different one if you implement the change, meaning you have to really talk the information into to yourself, and then you have to, I want to use the word force here, but again I don't like that word because I guess the word has a negative thing, right? But then if you just imagine the push behind the force, just like a push, basically you have to push yourself to make the change, and then eventually you won't be scared of spiders anymore. Hi, I should film you doing that to the window. Are you okay? Are you hungry again? He's going like this at the window, just so you know. That was my son. He said he's gonna go make himself some pot noodle. Anyway, so with the spider example of like the mind running wild and doing its own thing, yeah, I think that we are doing exactly the same thing but with life. So then we're running wild with the assumption of what life is, and with this power that it has of like creating relationships with the sun and the space and the substances and chemicals, that we're literally just allowing the mind to just run wild. And actually there might be some clever humans at the top of that experience who are controlling this in a negative way. I don't know why you would do that, because I wouldn't do that, controlling it in a negative way, unless they themselves are experiencing a mind running wild, which obviously that has to be what they're doing anyway. So everybody's mind is running wild in one way or another, and we're not really stepping back to push a new experience and a new agenda and a new influence. And actually that's exactly how life works. Like you choose and then you have the experience. And right now we're living as if we don't have no choice, because we're not even being taught about what this is. What is this? We're not even being taught that. And this, the thinking mind, sorry, is what is controlling everything. What? Everything.
Whoa.
Everything. And I know that saying this right now, yeah, when I say everything, literally, from being able to talk to trees and being able to part the sea, I know it sounds like magic, I'm so sorry, but to being able to fly to the sun, to be able to talk to Saturn, to be able to do whatever, the mind is in control. And I swear I've witnessed that, and now I'm certain, and I know it, that this is the God expressing itself in this way. Anyway, number one is basically, if you're aware of that, right, even if right now it just sounds too magical, right, but then you're going to start to become aware of it in smaller ways. So not being able to talk to the sun, not being able to talk to the tree, but in small ways, like for example the spider. Like in these small ways, you're going to see how much control you actually have. And then when we start teaching that control, then you start to control your mind. And then when we get to that, which I'm just hoping that these are going to be like really quick steps, because like we need to start talking to the sun out here, right? We're going to end up controlling the whole entire world. And what's sad is that this is already happening. This is already happening. You're just not aware of it. And what's annoying is that the people who are controlling this world are partly aware of it. And when I say partly, yeah, they must not be fully aware of it because of how this world is run. Because if you're fully aware of it, you'd be fully aware that fear doesn't have to be a part of existence. And right now we are assuming that fear does, obviously, because I don't know why, but they want to stay like a small group of leaders. Because if we were to spread this education, then we'd see that their leadership is not what you think it is. Like, it's not about a group of people being at the top leading the world. That's not it. Because actually every single thing in existence has a right to lead itself, and actually leadership would be local to every single person, meaning that I would influence your decision based on what I like and based on what I tell you, but then you do the same thing back and we do the same to each other. So technically, in a way, we are all leaders and we are all followers. But right now we play this game of a few leading, and then the rest are just oblivious to it. Literally, they have no clue that it's happening. And then obviously, because time has gone on, then you had to start naming that, which then they named it a government, they named it law, they named it countries. And so then like they could somehow keep the small leadership in place, but obviously that small leadership is incorrect, because everything has to lead itself, and it can lead itself. It has the ability to lead itself, and actually if you allowed it to lead itself, it would form a beautiful, I was going to say a beautiful brain, because technically this is bloody brain processing, expressing as a brain, and it's this big massive brain that comes together as a puzzle, and then it would be this like beautiful brain. I don't think that that's all that life is. I don't think that life is a brain. I don't think that God is a brain. I don't think that God is an emotional intelligence. I feel like this game is, and somehow this game has lost.
Huh?
Baby, you're so cute. You're so cute. I have to finish what I was saying there, but I have to show you this little baby. Hi. You gonna come up here? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're so cute. You're so cute. Oh my gosh. You're so cute. You're so cute. Oh, look at this baby. Yes. Oh my gosh. Hi. Hi. Look at the baby. You don't want to sit down, you're scared. Look, this is her brain, because there's nothing to be scared of, and yet she's like scared to sit down, controlling her brain. This is a typical example of not controlling the brain, of living just like you're the brain. But it's time to unlock bigger parts of your brain. So you're not just gonna be a dog that's scared, you're gonna be a dog that controls its brain, yeah? And that goes for all the animals. They're all just living like they're the brain, and they have to unlock the brain, so then they can control the brain. Lucky a lot of us has already started the process, therefore we can help others who have not yet started the process. Anyways, I guess my conclusion to all of that is first, to spread the awareness. Second, then to start controlling the brain. Third, then we change the world. And then fourth, my job's done, thank you very much, I'll be leaving now, see you later. No, but I really do mean that though, because I just want to go to sleep forever. I'm gonna leave and go to sleep forever. It wouldn't be sleep though, it would just be like this, like, because sleep sometimes feels a bit contradictive, because it's like, do I want to sleep or do I want to be awake? But then the sleep is so heavy that you can't help but want to stay asleep. But there's a contradictive thought of thinking, but should I be awake? Do I want to be awake? And I don't want that split there, you know? And I feel like in the space of like no process, there isn't a pulling and a pushing. When I say pulling and pushing, I just mean like options ready to be taken, options ready to be chosen. How exciting! What am I gonna do? And it's just more like, I keep making sounds to like represent the state. And some people be like, yes, Nayna, because everything is sound. And I'd be like, I don't know if everything is sound, or if that's just another process to God, you know, another expression where really there's another place that is like beyond sound, you know. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this discussion, because I have, and I shall be back with something else next week. So have a great evening or morning whenever you're watching this. And Lola, I know that's not her name, but I call her Lola. She answers to Lola anyway. She says goodbye. She bye. Bye.